Yeah, I think the first thing we had talked about in the presentation was intubation, and I don't know if I told you about this because I did a bunch of nights, bunch of nights,
Yeah.
and one of the nights it was like, and I'm not saying this to give anybody a hard time, just so you guys know, but I swear to God, the nurses can smell like when I've gotten comfortable somewhere, like so, like I had eaten.
He just rested his head.
Here, text him, and it's usually two at the same time from different
You
places.
literally have just gone.
Well, in this case, this was really early in the shift, so which is good because
Yeah.
I always appreciate proactivity. But like we had pretty uneventful nights for the most part. Like
Yeah.
I got racked with Uma one night, but other than that, we had pretty uneventful nights. I just ate my food. My tum tum's full. I'm
Feeling
like,
nice and comfy.
I'm sitting in front of my heater, and then all of a sudden, ding! First text was, "Hey, this patient in this room, we're pretty certain that their ET tube cuff is blown." And I'm like, stellar, right? So I like pull the chart up real quick just to take a gander, and then like almost back to back, my phone, bing, and it was a patient I had gotten warned about early on. It was like an afternoon extubation that was kind of stridorous, had some racemic, and they're like, "Hey, she's not looking so good." And I'll appreciate this too. The person who texted me was like, "Hey, this you don't have to run down here right now, but this person doesn't look good, and if they get worse, I'll let you know.
Right.
But like, if you could, like, if you're heading this direction." And I was like, which I really appreciate, right? Give me a metric for what's going on. Anyway, I go over to, because one's in neurotrauma, one's in MI.
Okay.
So I'm like, all right, I'm going to go to MI first. Plus, I mean, blown cuff could be, in my opinion, could be worse.
Right.
So I get there, and I don't remember if it was one of yours or I don't think it was from through the day. But as soon as I get there, they're like, he's like 98% leak, but satting 100%, pulling volumes of like 1400. I was like, when I woke him up, like sits right up, sticks the tongue out, and they're planning on extubating him in the morning. And I was like,
Pull that puppy.
I was like, just take it out.
Yeah.
And it was really funny because and you know this, right? Like, especially as a mid-level, sometimes you get really hesitant about making decisions.
Yeah.
Just because you're like, this is what I would do, but my attending might not do this, right? And I don't, and they're obviously, they're pulmonologists. They have more experience in this area. They have more training in this area, and we learn from them, and we learn through our practice as well. But sometimes there's like one little thing that they'll see and they'll be like, oh, I wouldn't have done that. You know what I mean?
Well, and to that point, and this is just differences in how we practice, right? But if anyone out there hears this is for everyone. I am more than happy to help the group. I work for the pulmonary critical care group, but I work with a singular physician. I'm one-on-one.
Yeah.
And so that, to your point, that's one thing that I see as a huge benefit. Now, obviously every service throughout the United States, a doc and an APP can't work one-on-one together. I understand that's not feasible, but all of our docs love you. They know that you're clinically solid, sound. I think they would all trust your decisions, but there is something to be said about when you work with the same doc over and over and over again, that level of confidence and trust that you can gain.
Yes.
I feel much more comfortable making my own decisions and just giving orders for those types of things. Or if someone looks bad and they need intubated, just intubating them without even, if he's in a bronchoscopy or something like that. It's like, okay, the patient obviously needs intubated. I'll intubate the patient. I'll tell him when he gets up. And if I have the opportunity, don't get me wrong, I'm still going to always update your physician first, as you should as an APP, right? But I never feel any like he's going to be like, oh, that was the wrong decision.
You're an idiot.
I wouldn't have done that.
Right. Right.
So you're definitely in a little bit more of a strenuous situation in the sense that you're switching attendings on a daily, if not regular basis, and everyone has a little bit difference in practice pattern. And so that makes things.
Well, and some of them are
different.
kind of big differences. Like we were joking the other day about when I had transfused a coagulopathic cirrhotic.
Right.
And you were like, would you? And I was like, I wouldn't have done this.
Right.
But
my attending
would, and I'm going to do what they want to do ultimately.
Right.
Like, cause obviously there's not necessarily a clear harm signal. It's insofar as excluding just the obvious, which is like transfusion reaction. But I'm like, this is the way this attending likes to do it. We'll just do it this way. Anyway, point of that story being is, and you know this, and especially when you're early in your practice, right? Like sometimes, a lot of times, making decisions is hard.